Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. I know we're about 10 minutes late, but it's been a while. We have a lot to discuss. This is the international cabinet meeting today. This evening, we're going to be discussing a lot, bitch. A lot. We're going to be covering Hong Kong. We're going to be covering the UK Brexit situation. We're going to be covering the Amazon Rainforest. I'm going to be breaking all of that down as I typically do in my form and fashion. Hey, darling, what's going on? Hey, Annie, how are you? Tim's here. Everybody's settling in. Daphne's here. So I'm going to wait for everybody to load in, but we got a lot to discuss. We have a lot to break down. We have a lot to talk about your president and what's going on in that situation. But it's a lot. It's been a minute. I'm sorry I've been busy. I had the opportunity to go to the Missy Elliott Museum in New York yesterday, which was a lot of fun for the Video Music Awards, courtesy of the VMAs. That was a lot of fun. But, bitch, it's a lot. Now, first off, before we get started, this meeting in particular, I wanted to tie in the global effects that our president and just the global effects of all of these things that are going on, the effects that they're having on the world at large. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot that is going on with this as far as trade, tariffs, Rainforest burning. It's a whole issue behind that. But I'm going to touch on Hong Kong first. I'm going to wait for a few folks to come in because we got a lot to cover. So I do want to get started soon. I hope everybody's had a great weekend. What's going on, Deneen? Ramona, Bianca. Hey, girl. Hey, Kimberly. Mississippi in the building. Cheryl. What's going on, Cheryl? Louisville, Kentucky. Ebony. So I'm going to wait for a few more folks to come in, and then we're going to get started and break it down for you guys. It's been a lot. So your president has tweeted that he's the king of Israel. He's escalated the Chinese trade war, which we'll get into that in a moment. I mean, this weekend we're fucked. You know, what else can you say? Sending prayers out to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Hopefully she hangs on, because if she go, we're going to be in Gilead, bitch. It's going to be the Handmaid's Tale for real. No fucking shade. But anyway, we're going to get started with Hong Kong. So we've been watching this, and, you know, a lot of people are asking, they're like, well, what the fuck is they protesting? What's going on in Hong Kong, bitch? Like, what is the tea? What's going on in Mother Hong of the Kong? I said, girl, I don't know what's going on. So I did some research on it. So basically, the people of Hong Kong are protesting this extradition bill, okay? The extradition bill would basically mean that people who commit crimes in other nations or in mainland China, as it stands right now, if they go to Hong Kong, if they return to Hong Kong, they can't be extradited to the countries in the other countries in the territory or in the area where they've committed crimes, because there's no extradition agreement, okay? So, and still do your research on this, but I'm going to give you the overview. So right now, basically, I could kill a bitch in Taiwan. Hurry up and leave before they catch my black ass. Go to Hong Kong, bitch, and they can't do shit. Like, literally, they can't do shit as it stands right now. Because there's no extradition agreement. There's like a whole bunch of fucking red tape and shit like that. So how did this all start? How did this bill get introduced? Because when I researched it, guys, it was fairly recent. Like, this isn't something that's been going on for like a long time. You know, like, this bill is fairly new. So basically what happened back in March of 2018, okay, a citizen by the name of Chan Tong Kai murdered his pregnant girlfriend Poon Hu Wing while they were on vacation in Taiwan. Okay? So he killed her ass in Taiwan, bitch. Whole time he from Hong Kong. So he killed her. He returned back home to Hong Kong. He's only been charged with theft and handling stolen goods. As the case happened in Taiwan, there is no extradition agreement between Hong Kong and Taiwan. So he has not been charged with murder. So he came back, admitted that he killed the girl. Okay? Admitted that he killed the girl. This isn't speculation. This is something that we think happened. The motherfucker came back and admitted, I killed the bitch. I killed her. But because there's no extradition agreement, because there's no laws and things in place for that, they can't touch him. So at most, they can only charge him with stealing some shit. That's about it. So, now I know you're thinking, I'm thinking, damn, that's fucked up. Why wouldn't you want him to be extradited to get charged for killing this poor unfortunate soul? Here's the thing. In mainland China, right now, as we all know, politicians have a way of using tragedies to weaponize their own agendas. I'm going to say that again. Politicians have a way of using tragedies to weaponize their own agendas. This is the equivalent, to put it in perspective for you, this is the equivalent of when some citizen, a U.S. citizen, gets killed by undocumented immigrant. That doesn't happen often. It's not something that just happens every day, all day. It's very rare. But that one instance is now a tool for politicians to say, we need to do something about this. Now, the caveat to this bill is that a lot of people were worried. The reason why they're protesting is because a lot of people are worried about China's legal system and how politically driven it is and how corrupt it is. So basically, they're concerned because if you open up this extradition policy and you create this law, now you have the ability, and you know how China is, if you don't know, as far as their political process and how they feel about protesting and shit like that, you think, like, it's not a game over there. It's not Disneyland, bitch. Okay? So basically, you can commit a political crime or speak out too much, okay? Or go over and anything. Basically, this opens the door for people who are actually trying to change the system in a good way to be put in jail. Okay? So basically, you can't run to Hong Kong no more and be safe. You can't go back home. They're going to come home and they're going to lock your ass up and they're going to take you to China where the jails, from what these reports are saying, are fucked, okay? Like, our jails are fucking vacation houses compared to these jails in China, bitch, okay? I'm not trying to go to no jail in China. I'm not trying to go to no jail in China, bitch, okay? So, that's a big thing. Now, according to the law, for this extradition law, and I'm breaking it down. I want to take my time with this and really make sure we absorb this and get it, because I don't want to be saying no wrong shit, you know. But according to this law, this extradition process will only apply to crimes that warrant 3 years or more. So, like, if you're doing petty theft, bitch, you know, you stealing from Target, Walmart, or whatever their version of that is over in China, Hong Kong, what have you, you wouldn't get extradited for no shit like that. Allegedly, this is only for big shit. But as we all know, all it takes is one foot in the door for the law to be amended, changed, where everybody asses is getting locked the fuck up. Okay? So we got to think about that. So this is why these kids are protesting, and they're protesting heavy. If you've seen the reports, you know they going in. They got their motorcycle gear on, bitch. They're using the smoke bombs, lasers, all kinds. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if you haven't seen the footage or read up on the actual protesting methods that they've been doing, we can learn a lot of shit from them. No shade. Like these motherfuckers over in Hong Kong, bitch. They about that. Like, this is some high tech. This is protesting. This is some next level shit. This is 2025 protesting methods, bitch. Lasers, trash cans to deflect the cameras, bitch. They got on motorcycle gear, masks, smoke bombs. They moving in sections. But it's been peaceful up until today. Okay? So, policemen are starting to fire their guns now. There's been some violence and escalation. So it's only been so long that this is gonna go on. Now, the funny thing is this: when I look at this bill, a couple of organizations and demographics oppose this bill. A lot of business people surprisingly oppose this bill. The reason why they oppose this bill is because they're worried about financial crimes. Because financial crimes would be covered in this extradition bill as well. So basically, if you do some backdoor shit with the money, bitch, in the Chinese market, in the mainland market, and you run back to Hong Kong, they can come get your ass. Now, word on the street is they was secretly coming and snatching people, like the Chinese main government was coming to Hong Kong anyway, sending Secret Service agents and shit to snatch people anyway. So this had been happening low-key. Like, if they want you bad enough, low-key, this was going to happen anyway. The difference is now they have a legal way to do it. I think the reason why this young man that killed his girlfriend didn't get snatched is because his case is the reason why this bill came. So you can't come and snatch that motherfucker because he's the centerpiece of this whole situation. He was the gateway to make this shit legal. Okay? Are y'all following me? Are y'all here? I know this is a lot to take in, but I wanted to break. You know I was going to come correct, bitch. He bring it to you every ball. Anyway, so a lot of the businessmen are like, wait a minute, bitch. We know he killed this girlfriend, but you fucking our shit up now. Like, we trying to get our coins, and you fucking it up. Okay? The Hong Kong Bar Association, they're having reservations over the bill, saying that, you know, the restriction against any surrender arrangements with mainland China would not be a loophole, okay, in regards to this whole thing. So the Bar Association is having a time with it. Okay, they're fearing that it will put courts in collusion with Beijing, as the limited scope of extradition hearings will leave little room to maneuver. They worry that if they try to stop high-profile suspects from being sent across the border, they will be exposed to criticism and political pressure from Beijing. The judges and lawyers said that under Hong Kong's British-based common law system, extraditions are based on the presumption of a fair trial and humane punishment in the receiving country. A presumption they say that China's Communist Party-controlled legal system has not earned. So basically they saying, bitch, we not sending nobody over to China because they're going to fuck our people up. Okay? They're not sending them over. This is the biggest thing I think when I read this is that the reason why these people are protesting, yes, it's a human rights issue as well because of how China treats prisoners and how their political and judicial system is worked. They've always had like human rights issues with their judicial system. You can always look that up, bitch, but that's just a fact. So a lot of these kids are protesting because they're basically scared to death because you could get snatched for anything, be taken over, be put to trial. Don't this sound familiar? That sounds familiar, don't it? Crossing the border to a certain degree. You go to a country, you're going to get treated like shit. Even if you necessarily, in this case, the guy that sparked it committed a crime, but say you didn't really commit a crime or something like that, sounds familiar, don't it? Don't it? Sound real familiar? Be mindful of the people that you vote in. Be mindful of your democracy and the fact that you get to vote for the people that you put in office, however fucked up they are. You actually got to vote to put them there. In some countries, it ain't that damn serious. So, that's basically what's going on. That's a small background. Like I said, feel free, because we got a lot to cover. Go ahead, do your research, look into other things and read up on this. But that's pretty much the gist of how this shit all sparked off. Long story short, homeboy killed his girlfriend over in Taiwan, came back home, knew they couldn't touch him, admitted to the shit. The politicians took that shit, ran with it. Now it's opening up a whole nother can of worms. The people are pissed. They not backing down. Now shit's starting to get violent. Bitch, stay tuned. Now, moving on. Once again, UK Brexit. Now, to me, the United Kingdom exit from the EU. So basically what's happening is this. The European Union is an economic and political union. It has 28 European countries in it. Okay? 28. It allows free trade and free movement of people to live and work in whatever country they use. So, bitch, out of the 28 countries in the European, like, bitch, 28 countries. You can just go there. That's why when motherfuckers go on vacation over in Europe, they just have the time of their life. You hop on the train and you go to Paris. You hop on the train and you go to Italy. Oh, I'm in London right now. With this Brexit shit, all that shit comes to a close, bitch. Why? I think it's interesting because with this UK Brexit movement that happened, and I'm going to run down some statistics. The UK Brexit was actually the fire alarm for our 2016 election. It was actually the fire alarm. And the Russians played a big part in the Brexit movement as well. I think that we did not learn, or better still, we didn't pay attention. Because we didn't care. Because the country wasn't bad. We didn't really believe Donald Trump was going to win. So we didn't take it seriously. But Brexit was actually the girl. You know what Brexit was? Brexit was the bitch yelling for help in the car and you still going to the campsite and Freddy Krueger, bitch. And you done heard somebody died already here, but you still want to go with your friends because you done paid on the Airbnb. This is what Brexit was. But we didn't listen to Brexit. We didn't listen to Great Britain. Okay, so a public vote. Now, voting. And this is how the Russian, the Russians, as far as how they tested their social media ads and attacking and things like that, and they kind of focused it in the UK, and it actually worked with them. Okay, so a public vote. This was back in June of 2016 on whether the United Kingdom should leave the European Union. They won, and these statistics, bitch. Let me get into these statistics because these statistics are alarmingly close from a popular vote standpoint to our election. To leave the UK won by 52% to 48%. Okay? Now, even though Hillary won the popular vote, it was kind of close. She won by 3 million votes, I believe, something around there. But it wasn't a landslide on either end. So when you already have people who, A, may not care, B, aren't informed, or C, really galvanizing their ignorance, you're going to get close numbers like this. The referendum turnout was high at 72% with more than 30 million people voting. 17.4 million people voted for Brexit. So that's like 52%, a little more than half. 17.4 million people voted to leave the United Kingdom. Now, it was supposed to happen in March of this year, okay? That was after Theresa May. There's an article, like an official article that she has to file and trigger. It's called Article 50. She triggered that article, which was the formal process to leave, and started the negotiations for the UK to leave. But it's been delayed twice. Okay, so Theresa May, if you recall, she got ousted. She's not there anymore. In regards to that, but that's basically what kicked it all off. The deal for the Brexit, okay, the exit deal, meaning that basically the agreement will cover the rights of European Union citizens in the United Kingdom and British citizens in the UK. So basically, they're going over how, as a citizen in the United Kingdom, you would be handled in the other 27 countries that's still sticking together, and how the people from the other 27 countries would be handled in the UK. How much money the UK would pay the European Union to leave. So that's another thing too. They gotta pay to leave. It ain't like you just leave, bitch, and you go, no, bitch, we want our coins. We want our coins. Okay, it's some astronomical number, but they gotta pay to leave. Okay, and then you have the backstop, which is like a border between Northern Ireland and the back of the UK. That's a big deal. Okay, in regards to that, that whole section of that. So basically, that's the basics of what the deal is. Now, the main part of the Brexit deal, is border posts. It all comes to borders. I don't know what's going on with the world and borders right now. I don't know what people, like, what is the obsession with the world and borders, but basically there are no border posts, physical barriers, or checks on people or goods crossing the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. The backstop is designed to ensure that continues after the UK leaves the European Union. It comes into effect only if a comprehensive free trade deal is not quickly agreed between the UK and the EU. And I'm reading this courtesy of the BBC.com because I needed notes for this shit because I wanted to make sure I was correct. It will keep the UK effectively inside the EU, the European Union's customs union, but with Northern Ireland also conforming to some rules of the single market. Critics say a different status for Northern Ireland could threaten the existence of the United Kingdom and fear that the backstop could become permanent. But supporters say it's necessary to maintain peace in Northern Ireland. Now, the question is, could the UK just leave, bitch? Like, why can't y'all just leave? Okay? Boris Johnson, who's the Prime Minister, wants the EU to remove the backstop from the deal. He wants alternative arrangements and technological solutions instead. So he like, fuck all these border fences, bitches, and all of that. Like, figure something out. But they like, nah, bitch, we ain't going through all that. We ain't doing all that for y'all. Pretty much. So, basically, what happened with Brexit, how it would affect the citizens is this. If the pound, which is the British money currency, falls and they don't have a deal, it could cause significant delays at ports and affect the price and availability of foods. Okay, now we went over this when we talked about the China trade deal when I did that video. If you're watching this on YouTube, find the video, just search the video for the Chinese trade war and trade deals that I did, and you'll put this together. So this is like a Marvel universe, bitch. All of this shit tying together. It could also have potential shortages on medicine, although the government is claiming that, bitch, we ready for that. But that's a big deal. Also, too, what I learned in researching this, and I saw this in another article, I think it was on Al Jazeera, that as a musician, if you're an independent musician, you guys know I'm a musician, I'm a rapper, I do music. If you're in the UK and you have to, say you're a British musician, and you want to travel, as it stands right now, you can travel to all of the European territories, no problem, take your instruments, keep it moving. Well, bitch, this deal happens and everything goes through, they leave, it's official, musicians will then have to pay for their instruments, I believe it's per instrument, they will have to pay and have separate passports and visas to get to all of these countries. So every country you go to, you're going to have to pay to bring your instruments. To put this into perspective, if you ain't Taylor Swift or Beyonce or a bitch that can afford, they ain't bitches, but you know what I'm saying, they can afford to pay those fees. If you're a small-time independent musician, this is going to kill you. This is going to kill you. Because now you have to include that in your booking fee to cover the cost of your instruments, if you're even getting a booking fee or guarantee, which is going to drive up the cost of ticket prices at the show. People already don't want to pay to go to shows. They don't even want to pay to stream music. So now, with this added cost to the musician, they're going to have to pay for that. And it's going to affect the pocketbooks, ultimately, of the fans. Because you can't just travel to different countries on a loss. So these deals, I love this because I love going over shit like this, because a lot of times we watch these things, we see these things happening, and it just goes over our heads, myself included. We don't think, oh, that's some big government shit, like they'll fix it. No, this does affect you. Okay, it will affect you. And Darlene brought up a good point. Maybe the venue could have instruments that they can rent. That's a possibility. Some clubs do have what's called backline. I'm giving you a little bit of music knowledge right now. I know this is the global edition. But some venues do have backline. Like for DJs, they may have what's called CDJs where they can DJ off of them, things like that. But if you want a certain sound, like certain people use certain instruments because it's integral to their sound and their aesthetic and what they do. So you can't just take the house violin. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's certain shit everything is not going to leave. You may have a clavichord in your band that you need. A clavichord isn't included in backline. Okay? So these are all things that you have to take into effect. Also, too, now, another thing, if you're a UK citizen traveling to the European Union, you would need to make sure that your passport is valid at least 6 months on October 31st. And it will require an international driving permit if you intend to use a car. So can you imagine living in the UK and you just go to France all the time or wherever, and now, bitch, you got to get a separate driver's license, your passport got to be super together, and healthcare. Healthcare. Let's get into the healthcare consequences of this. So we love to talk about universal healthcare. America don't have that shit. Everybody else in the civilized world pretty much kind of has it already. But with this Brexit deal, bitch, European health insurance cards will no longer be valid. So if you're the UK, now they have to figure out their own fucking healthcare system. That in itself is you see, we've been fighting over Medicaid since I was born. And I was born in the 80s. They will now have to do a whole overhaul, just the UK. This is how stupid this is what happens when you don't vote and you let a little bit of people make your decision for you. Because now, and a lot of young people, I watch a lot of tapes, I love to do my research and study. A lot of young people are gagging in the UK because they didn't think this would happen. So now your healthcare is fucked up. That great universal healthcare that you used to have, bitch. Okay? Kapoof. Poof, bitch. Up in smoke. Pet passports will no longer be valid. Okay? So it's a lot that will go on with no Brexit deal. It's just like, it baffles me that it just baffles me how this works, and how it affects you. Like these big deals really impact your everyday personal life. And I'm gonna tell you something, guys. Before I started doing Secretary of State, I didn't realize, like, I always had a big thing, with this. But I didn't realize until I started researching and started equating it to your everyday life how much this really matters. It's just so crazy to me. And honestly, somebody said the benefits of Brexit. To be honest, when I looked into that, because I researched it briefly, from what I can see, and this could be a government agenda. It really don't seem like it's any. This seems like, to me, when I looked into Brexit, it seems like a bunch of folks who were terrified about borders. They were worried about immigration, Middle Eastern immigrants. Let's get funky about this. This whole Brexit shit started because in some ways it's kind of like how what's happening in America now about the Mexicans are taking our jobs. They're doing all this. No, sis, nobody's taking your job. You don't even want to do that job. This is how Brexit kind of got its legs. They were terrified. A lot of people, there was a lot of prejudice, and there was a certain market of folks that were worried about Middle Eastern immigrants coming in and immigration. This is where this all comes from. Once again, borders. I think this decade is the decade of borders. When we look back, I think we'll see how obsessed we were with lines. Everybody wants to draw their line in the sand. And this is how Brexit started. Brexit, once again, was the fire alarm for the United States. We just missed it. Bottom line and flat out. Now, the Amazon Rainforest. Okay, so, as we all know, the Amazon Rainforest is burning boots. The Amazon, it is very scary. At first, it wasn't getting a lot of media attention. And then, like, now everybody's covering it now because, it's like the Popeyes chicken sandwich, bitch. The shit been happening for a while now, but, one person, a couple people blow the shit up. Then everybody like, oh my God, the forest is burning. Bitch, it's been burning. This ain't new. What was disturbing, though, about this, though, is what happens. Okay, so the thing with the Amazon fires, and I looked into this because I want to know, I'm like, what happened? I know one Amazon tribe won a lawsuit against big oil companies, to keep the forest and things like that. But it's bigger than even that, because this is some shit that's been going on. So the rainforest, you may ask, is wet. It's muggy. It's humid. How is the Amazon on fire? And you may not have even thought about that, because, bitch, until I started researching this whole thing, I was like, you're right, bitch, the Amazon is muggy as fuck. It's the Amazon. They dewy. It's wet. How is it, like, fires in the Amazon? You would expect that in, like, California, but what up with your point? So, there's this thing called deforestation. So, farmers and cattle ranchers use fire to clear land and make it ready for use, okay? So, they are more than likely behind the number of fires in the Amazon, okay? So, basically, what they do, it's called deforestation, once again. Clear land is needed to expand agricultural and other activities such as cattle ranching, soy production, and a few other things as far as that's concerned. All right? So this is coming from the Rainforest Alliance. It is responsible for 80 to 90% of the loss of tropical forests around the world. So these are people doing this dumbass shit. This isn't something that, oh my God, It's too hot outside and there we're burning. Like, we're doing this shit to ourselves. Okay? So for those people, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's actually like when I researched it, because I was like, bitch, I was ready to get in conspiracy theory mode. And I was like, oh, they don't even make a secret of what they did. The difference is now the shit just kind of got out of hand. It's like, it's not controlled no more. Like, they like, oh, bitch, wait a minute. Like, I think we set too many fires. You know? And so I was first off, guys, I was shocked that this is even a thing. Okay? So basically, they clear the land. 20% of the wider Amazon biome, including not only the rainforest, but adjacent regions, have been lost to mining, logging, farming, hydropower dams, and roads. So 20% of the Amazon, they building shit. We are destroying our earth. Okay? Now, currently, the Amazon is what's called a sink for carbon dioxide. The gas emitted mainly from burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas. This is according to the World Wildlife Federation. Under natural conditions, plants remove CO2 from the atmosphere, which is carbon dioxide. So we get ready to go to science class real quick. We're going to go to science class. I'm going to break this shit down so we understand what's going on. So basically, plants remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, absorb it for photosynthesis, yielding carbon, which allows plants to grow and releasing oxygen back into the air. Okay? They say that excessive carbon dioxide, according to scientists, are contributing to the warming of our planet, which that's climate change, global warming. We kind of already knew that. The Amazon still remains a net source of oxygen today, despite the fact that 20% of the world's total carbon dioxide emissions are caused by deforestation. Before the recent fires, the Amazon released up to 0.5 billion, a half a billion metric tons of carbon per year due to deforestation, according to the Wildlife Fund. However, increased deforestation in concert with other ecological conditions could cause the Amazon to become a source of carbon dioxide instead of a sink. Basically, the amount of oxygen decreasing that they emit and carbon dioxide. So, bitch, they would reverse us being able to breathe by cutting down all the damn trees and shit. This is what's happening. So instead of preserving the planet from the effects of global warming, the Amazon could begin harming the planet by emitting larger amounts of carbon dioxide and contributing to climate change. So basically, bitch, by them burning down the Amazon, they actually going to speed up climate change, bitch. It's going to be the day after tomorrow, bitch, in 5 years. And I'm not even playing. Okay? So, by them doing this, it's so ironic to me that one of the regions, the Amazon, who helps us breathe, by destroying it like this, will also kill us. Isn't that fucking karma? That's some karma for your ass. I'm just saying. Okay? So, once again, it all comes down to politics, bitch. It's always about politics. Always about politics. So, environmental groups are blaming Bolsonaro, who was elected in 2018, made campaign promises to restore the economy by exploring the Amazon's economic potential. Since his election, Bolsonaro has cut the budget of the nation's environmental enforcement agency by $23 million. After these cuts, the agency's operations fell. According to data, a coalition of Brazilian government environmental organizations. Bolsonaro's promises, action, and general pro-business stance may have emboldened ranchers, farmers, and loggers to seize control of a growing area of Amazon land. Okay? A former army captain, the conservative Bolsonaro mounted an impressive victory last year. So basically, this is their version of Trump. So in trying to fix a money problem, because doesn't this sound familiar? I feel like, and I don't want them to be 613 my ass and black bag me, because I enjoy talking to y'all. I feel like there's this global happening going on, guys. There's this global happening because all of these people that are being elected, they're being elected out of ignorance. They're being elected out of fear. And they're fucking up our planet. Okay? They're fucking the planet up. Now this motherfucker literally about to kill us. Our president got us in a trade war with China. He's putting Hispanic, Mexican, white people, Central American people in cages and separating them from their family. The Brits have lost their mind and are basically creating their own thing again that they haven't even planned how they're going to take care of. Did we see a correlation here? And this is not even to mention Russia and North Korea. And you're right, Tanya, Russia's behind it all. They sitting back laughing. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't have the answers. I'm not a perfect human being. I am not a news source. I am not some elite I just am reading you what's going on. And putting my 2 cents in it and breaking it down so we can all understand the shit. But look at everything that's going on. I think I want to do a special now on the recent crop of world leaders elected within the past 4 or 5 years. I want to really research their campaigns now. I also want to research, too, this is a sidebar, I want to research where the campaign money goes when people drop out of the presidential elections. Because, like, all this money they raise, where it's going. But that's another story for another day. So, yeah. Okay. The number of fires in Brazil are up 85%. So, of course, you know, all their presidents are outraged. Well, the ones with sex. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, called it an international crisis. You know, all of that. He called for the G7 to discuss that. And all of that. The word on the street is they have planes going to, there's a U.S. Cropper plane that's helping put the fires out and everything like that. So also, too, there was this thing going around about beef and how eating meat affects it. And I was trying to figure out how the fuck beef and a fire comes together. But here's how it works. You can also help by stop eating beef. Cows produce a greenhouse gas known as methane, which is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Cattle is responsible for 41% of all greenhouse gas emissions produced by livestock, which in turn account for 14.5% of total global emissions. Bitch, I would have never knew. I'm not a big red meat eater anyway. I'm a chicken coin, you know what I'm saying? Like I live for a chicken moment. But we can't eat beef. Let's lay off the beef for a little bit. I want to live. I want to breathe. I'm sorry. So that was interesting to look at. But that's a small overview. Like I said, feel free to do more research, but it's only so much. We already been here almost an hour now going over this, but we could talk all night about this. But that's a brief overview of the Amazon rainforest, how we got here, what's happening with that. So definitely do your research and look into that. You know, and look into that. I don't know what's going to happen once they put the fire out, and I didn't research that far. I had to research a lot just to get to this. But that's something to definitely put on the docket for one of our future meetings. Now, back to China. You know, China just got a lot going on right now. But so they increased the tariffs on $60 billion worth of U.S. goods. We always ask what effect Twitter will have, the Donald Trump's Twitter will have on our global dealings and things like that. This is a classic. This is one of the effects. So basically, they did this shit after Donald went on Twitter. This was during last week. You know, he was the king of Israel. Our president is crazy, y'all. Like, it ain't even no other way to put it. Like, he's mentally not stable. Like, these press conferences in front of on the White House lawn, it's like this shit is ridiculous. Like, to be honest with you, it's ridiculous. So this motherfucker, you know, he on Twitter going off about China. So China's like, all right, bitch, it's the cake baking for y'all. We gonna raise the tariff again. We gonna raise it. We was keeping it cute for y'all, but we gonna raise it. Now, once again, I do want to make it clear, China is raping us. Okay? In these trade, check my tariff video. I did a whole special on tariff, the Chinese trade war. They are raping us. That's a fact. But we're not in a position, like, they're positioning, because we done sent all the jobs overseas. Okay? Like, that's a fact. But sometimes it's about how you handle these things. It's about how you... I'm so sick of talking about this man to a certain degree. It's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, soybeans, I feel bad for the farmers, but I don't feel bad for the farmers. Because the farmers voted for him. And the farmers, not only, dear farmers, most of the workers that you were hiring to do these jobs, because average American citizen, you're not going to pay them enough to do it, were undocumented illegal immigrants. So now he's taking a workforce and locking them up and blocking them from the country. So you now don't have a workforce. He's entered us into a trade war with China, which China is one of our biggest consumers and customers of soybeans. So China said, you know what, fuck it. We're not getting soybeans from the United States no more. We getting them from Brazil. So not only has he depleted your workforce, okay, but he's also pushed you into a trade war with one of your biggest clients. They now have, the farmers have stockpiles of soybeans. They still trying to get rid of 20. Now, soybeans, from what I'm reading here, you're able to store. Like they have a shelf life, so they can store for a little bit. But they're still trying to get rid of soybeans from 2018. We're heading into the end of 2019. Okay? And so, I don't really feel bad for the farmers. Because you guys voted thinking that it was going to be a good old boys club. I feel bad for the people who are going to have to pay more for their goods. I feel bad for us as consumers. Because that price is going to be, we're going to pick that tab up. Your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, your wheats, things of that nature. We're going to pick that up. But I don't feel bad for the farmers and whatever losses they may have. You know, he tried to put a Band-Aid on it with the farm aid that he handed. I think it was like $16 billion, something like that. Don't quote the number, but I'm gonna have to double check that. But he tried to fix it, but that's not helping trade. And now that China is increasing tariffs even more, and they're not buying because we've increased our tariffs on China. Now you sitting with a damn warehouse full of soybeans, sis. You see, every action has a reaction. And when you vote out of ignorance, when you vote out of ego, when you vote because you got the right, they got the jersey on that you wear that you like, this is what happens. This is all of these world events go back to democracy. It goes back to elections. It goes back to the people getting comfortable and not realizing that you determine the world that you live in. All of this goes back to democracy. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to touch on this. This was a long one. I didn't plan on going this long, but it was so much to cover. We didn't even really cover Israel, but I'm going to save that for a future meeting. I think we're going to meet up later this week, guys. But yeah, do your research. You know, bring some things in or look into it. But I wanted to cover the global effects and everything that this has on what we're dealing. I hope you got something out of it. It was great for me to research this. I learned things researching it with you guys and finding it. So I thank you for that, for coming and showing up for these meetings. I'm not a perfect human being. I know a few folks were upset because I shared the article on Facebook, which was a legit article. It wasn't like spam or anything like that, in regards to the people who have worked for the Clintons. And their deaths and the coincidences of it. And they got really upset with me, and I didn't take the article down because I refused to have my own opinion silenced, because at the end of the day, that's why I do Secretary of Shade, so that we can all form our own opinions. You don't have to agree with me. Everything I say is not gospel, and I don't want it to be gospel. I'm just a guy with an opinion who does some research and makes it funny. At the end of the day, I'm not a savior. I'm not a journalist. I'm not God. I am not the police. I am just a guy from Baltimore who wants you to know some things and learn them with me. On that note, I hope you guys have a great week. Okay? Make sure you follow me on Instagram at GODDM. I have a new video coming out pretty soon. I just shot it with the great Maggie Rudiso. Tonight, I'm going to start Mindhunter on Netflix because I just finished Handmaid's Tale. And I think I'm going to watch that Halston documentary. I went to the Charles to see it. Make sure you support local businesses. That Halston documentary, I think it's on CNN, about the great fashion designer Halston, because I love fashion, believe it or not. But you guys stay blessed. If you missed the meeting, all of them are available on YouTube. Just search Secretary of Shade. You guys have a great night. Be blessed. Enjoy your week. Don't kill nobody tomorrow at work, and have a nice evening.